Joining me this week is Waswere, a man of many facets. His minimal maxing series on YouTube is aiming to max in the shortest time possible. He's also got a series focused around his bossing, Boss Man. Alongside these, he's created many guides, including fairly recently an in-depth Calfight King solo guide. In this past week, he started a brand new series, creating an ultimate Ironman in RS3, an account with no access to the bank. In this interview, we'll chat all about how he got into making videos, his favourite moments in Runescape, and a whole lot more. This interview was recorded live on my Twitch channel, and as such includes a Q&A from chat at the end. If you've got any other content creators you'd like to see me interview in the future, let me know in the comments. Now, without further ado, I hope you're ready to join me as I head into the mind of Waswere. Good evening, Adam, Waswere. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am very well. As we said like a minute before this, but no one else saw that, so... Anyway, how has your day been? How has your RuneScape week gone? What have you got up to?
So actually, this was a pretty big RuneScape week for me because I started my Ultimate Ironman.
Very nice.
Something that I've been looking for a new challenge for quite a while because I finished off Archaeology and I've been bossing a lot the past couple of months, but I find that I get burnt out of things every couple of months. So you kind of like
change,
to move it around a bit, kind of put the bossing on the back burner, and then have this new account to look forward to. So yeah.
Have you got like an end goal with the Ultimate Iron Man that you want to do? Something like far off in the distant future that you want to aim for?
Yeah, so there's two goals. One is Final Boss, and the other is Questscape. So I feel like that kind of encapsulates everything in the game. So
if you've got both those titles, you've experienced a lot of the main content. Maybe not some of the more niche pieces of stuff that.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe I'll get really into it and then want to do something stupid, like try to get Kopeshes on it or something.
Or even go for like comp or something as well.
Yeah.
Right, I'm trying to think because Ultimate Iron Man, for those who don't know, is where you literally have your inventory, right? You don't have a bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. What do you think the biggest challenge is going to be?
Honestly, Herblore.
Yeah.
Because I decided to ban Jack of Trades. Because like a big thing in the Ironman community is that a lot of people will start their accounts near the end of the year when Premier Club comes out, so they can get all their PVM aura. It's not a big deal anymore, but they would also get their
the Jack of
Trades. And it just the first like 3 or 4 months just doing Jack of Trades to get that up, and I felt it would kind of cheapen the goal of doing the account if I just did the same thing with Jack of Trades. Yeah. So I did ban that, which will make Herblore really interesting. Like I'm thinking up of some strategies, but I don't fully know what I'm doing yet, which is fun.
Well, you've got like obviously Mr. Kafar. I don't know if you've seen his Desert Locked stuff. He's obviously had to find some interesting ways of getting some of the low levels up, and Anima Islands, he spent a lot of time getting the XP labs from there. So
it'll be new things that I haven't done in either a very long time or just never done at all. So that's, I think, the beauty of it.
Yeah. So what like style do you think you're gonna go for combat wise? I guess mage or melee?
I think mage. I think it just has the most usefulness in terms of like being able to use it everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I can get away with having multiple styles, at least until I get nearer to the end game. So I think just mage to start, but it's also hard to like craft mage weapons. But like then you get the Gothic staff at T60. So maybe once I get that, that'll be my main weapon for a while.
Yeah, and then it's what's the step up from there? I guess it's
Chaotix maybe, because
yeah,
something like that. RCB would be ranged. or maybe Priff with the attuned crystal weapons at 80.
Just crystal bow, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So we'll see.
All right, all to look forward to in the nearest future.
Yeah, it'll be something I play a lot of.
So, and you're gonna compartmentalize it into like episodes on YouTube and stuff as well, or?
Yeah, and I'm gonna do it kind of in the settled vein where he has these like basically each episode he does it as a goal instead of just like I played for X amount of time. It's like I want to get this episode. So that's kind of how I want to do it, where I pick a goal at the start of the episode and then however long that takes, even if it's like a 30-minute video, that's how it's gonna.
That's just how long it takes to get, and how long it takes for you to release episodes as well, I guess, isn't it? It won't be a regular thing. It will be when you've completed that goal, then it's time for the next one.
Yeah, in the early game, I don't think it'll be too hard to get out like an episode a week or every week or two. But I imagine once I start getting up there, that it might take me a month to really get a high quality stuff together.
Yeah, and get a proper goal complete.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's head from your future all the way back into the past. And when did you start playing RuneScape? How did you come across it?
So it was, I don't know like the exact time, but it was before Slayer as a reference point. So it was quite a while ago. But I never played on Classic. Essentially, like I had a friend at school and he had an older brother and we were over at his house and his older brother was playing it. And, you know, you want to be cool and hang out with the older brother. So we all started playing it. And then, I don't know, I kind of fell in love with it very quickly. And then the rest is kind of history. So I think that was like 2004.
Yeah, what do you think about it, like, captures the imagination? Because obviously it has some, like, there's something that just hooks people in with RuneScape, isn't there?
I think because it's like 18 different games in one. Like, there's the role playing, there's the questing, there's the skilling, there's the PVM, there's all these sort of things that people can look forward to. So doesn't matter what type of gamer you are, RuneScape will appeal to you in some way.
You'll be able to find something for you.
Yeah. Even like in its modern form, it's moved a lot into a more of like an idle game.
Yeah.
And like that also applies to certain people too. I know I have a couple friends on here who basically only AFK. And I know it's what they enjoy out of it. So that's, I think, why it has such a large draw and always had such a large draw, is you can just do whatever you want in it.
It also probably helped initially that it was free and on the browser, and you could literally, anyone could run it effectively. Yeah. If you had Java, like, you were sorted. It's come a bit of a way since then, and I don't know how well optimized the game actually is.
It's not.
Yeah. Which is strange.
Yeah, I know it still runs on like single core. So like even if you have like a duo core CPU, it won't do anything. So there's no point.
This is a bit of a tangent, but years ago when I got my first gaming PC, I started up Fallout 3 and it just crashed on the start every single time, and it's because it was a quad core. And it just couldn't run it. It just completely was incompatible. So you had to go into the config, and you've got like a proper PC gamer going in there and changing the bits to make it actually run. And not really what I expected to do when I first booted up the game, but
yeah, it's such a good computer. Like, boom, I can just play it. It'll be perfect.
But no. So, what are your favorite like memories from, I guess, the past 15 years plus?
Oh, there's so many. I think the best memory, at least in the like, there's probably some childhood memories that I like completely forget now, but that were very good. But if we take like the past like 6 years that I've been playing, Solak release was probably my favorite moment. We were at a point where we weren't like the best PVMers in the game, or like not even like elite of the elite, but we could hold our own.
Yeah.
And we had a group of 7 friends, and we set out to just learn Solak ourselves. And we did it after 40 hours, like on the second day. And it was really great because like it was a bit of a validation for us because there was a lot of better people who hadn't gotten a kill yet, and we were able to work together, even though our DPS was slower, even though we weren't the best, and get that kill done. And it's a bit of a joke now among our friend group, but there was 98 people who got a legitimate kill before the bug was patched. Like there was a bug with where you could use Steel Titans to bypass the hit cap on phase 3.
Right, okay.
So we were one of the 98,
Yeah.
all of us. So we had like this thing going where we were like hashtag one of the 98. So like that's that whole, I guess, 2 weeks after Solak release was probably one of my favorite times on this game.
It seems like any time there's a boss release, the hype around just it, be it on Twitch or just in general in game, like the amount of chat you see about stuff. Like obviously it's been a while since the last one, but like back when like ED3 came out, obviously everyone was trying funky ambassador kills and stuff. I know Wazzy did like no food, no armor and stuff like that, which is mental. So, and we obviously this week, yesterday, day before, had the release of the teaser that there's going to be a new boss this year.
Yeah, I'm like super hyped for that because I was like I'd already been resigned to the fact that like we're gonna get God Wars Dungeon 3 next year and we're not gonna get any bossing for all of 2020, and I was like a little disappointed. And then that dropped like completely unexpected.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah.
I think just as a whole, like any new thing where you have to figure out something really brings people together. Like it was the same with Archaeology. Like if it was just nothing to figure out, I don't think it would have been as big for Twitch.
If it was just a simple go here, level 1 to 20, then go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine like divination when it launched was a particularly interesting skill. I don't know. I've never really gotten into it myself, but
yeah, I wasn't around for that one. But I doubt that it would have had the same sort of, I guess, community around it that Archaeology did.
Now, what was your like favorite, I guess, moments during the Archaeology kind of grind?
That's well. So I maybe like buying Lemusmatic. That was fun. So I was on like consistently on page 2 or like page 1 when I went to bed, and I was like, oh, I really want to try to get page 1. And so every time there was like another Tony's Matic drop, there was like 20 of us that were just hounding the CCs.
Yep.
Just going in and like offering, and like everyone's buying over each other and blah, blah, blah. And like trying to get the Matic because they need it to get to the top page. And eventually I just resigned to giving up on getting it. And then Lemmy PM'd me the night before he was going to get 200 million. He's like, I'm getting 200 million in like 8 hours. I'm like, do you want to buy my Matic? And then I like, it's funny. I don't know if he merged me, but like I told him what my max offer was.
Yeah.
And he told me he had an offer that was like 200 mil higher. But he's like, if you can find another 50 mil, I'll do it. And I was like, I can't. So like, that was when he knew I was, I guess, telling the truth about it was my most.
About your cap, yeah.
Yeah. So then he sold it to me. I kind of overpaid, but whatever. I got to own a piece of RuneScape history.
I mean, you also you didn't overpay because at the time it had extra value, being that you were going for. Where did you end up? What was the final placing?
44 Archaeology and then 41 overall.
Very nice.
So I'm happy with it. But I also I took it chill once top page was gone. So like I was originally planning, because it was a Thursday and I had to still work that week during the day, so I could only AFK. But the Friday night I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull an all-nighter the Friday night and just not sleep until I get 200 mil. And then I woke up the Friday morning and it was like 26 people had 200 mil, and I was like,
Just
screw that. I'm gonna sleep like a normal person. So
what was the longest like grind you pulled for it?
So I decided to stay consistent. So I did basically I did 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day.
Okay, 19 hours.
But like
Yeah.
19 hours every single day. Obviously, like I'd go away for AFKing like within a 5-minute period, but I thought that was better than like putting my body through hell by doing like a 30 or 40 hour. And I don't think I have the mental fortitude for that.
No, at some point you just kind of switch off somewhere.
Yeah, and by the
sorry, no, continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say by the end of it, I was ready to not do it anymore. Like if it was another week, I would have given up.
Yeah, just feel like that had enough. Brain is done with looking at this for 19 hours a day.
And the sprite, because I had like the Alt-1 thing going, and even days after, I was hearing that like ding.
People did like to set up custom sounds and stuff for it. That was at least a little bit less irritating.
For sure.
So, what was your first 99?
HP or Constitution.
All right.
It's a bit of a rare one, but I'd always as a kid wanted that one because it was like really cool back in the day. And when I came back in 2014, I had no 99s. But I think I had a lot of like mid 90s skills, and I was like, I'm gonna get that first. So I still have it in my keepsake as like an untrimmed Constitution cape, which is nice.
Got to do that for your first 99.
Yeah, everyone should.
Law. Yeah.
I feel like I would actually really like if Jagex auto keepsaked your first cape.
Yeah,
like that would be a real.
Or even gave you the option to buy the untrimmed version.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've got my farming one keepsaked. I think that's the only keepsake key I've got used. So. And then what was the last 99 before you maxed, like when you first maxed, if that makes sense?
Yeah, Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had gotten 399s on the final weekend. There was so back when Livid Farm was a lot harder. It was like 43 hours or something. I had farming, agility, and hunter to go. So one weekend they had the double Livid points. So I did all of Livid to get 99 farming, and then all of War Silverhawks throughout that to get 99 agility, and then did 99 hunter right after. So that was a lot of fun to because I was a noob skiller back then, and that was like boom 99, boom 99, boom 99. I felt really cool.
Whack them all out in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So where does Waswere, the name, come from, or Waswere? How is it meant to be pronounced? I guess.
So when I tell the story, you'll figure out how it's pronounced. But basically, originally, it was something like 12-year-old me came up with like Waswere you all, like where are all of you guys?
Right. Okay.
So that was the original name, but like RuneScape could only be 12 characters. So it was Waswere and then like space U and then space AL. So for the longest time, everyone pronounced it wrong because it was like UAL instead of all, because I couldn't have the second L in there. And then over time, I slowly shortened the name to Waswere when I came back, because who wants a really long name? And then
it's just cleaner, isn't it?
Yeah, and then on name release, there was a name release. I think it was 2015 or 2014, one of those years where they got rid of all the old band names. Mm-hmm. And I had put this on my notepad. I was like, I'm pretty sure this name's going to be made available. So I took the day off work, the W, when they were going to do the W, and I got was from that. And then, so it's pronounced Waswere because it's
part of a phrase.
Supposed to be it's supposed to be more like where. And then for the longest time, I had the nickname Wazzy. And then Wazzy got famous, and I'm like, well, No one can call me that anymore.
Yeah, two Wazzies just happening
Yeah.
to play RuneScape 3, which has one of the smaller player bases. That would be quite a coincidence.
Yeah.
So, favorite skill to train?
Oh, potentially Slayer, but I feel like that's like a really lazy answer.
Quite a popular one.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with the skill that I think is the most balanced in the game, which is cooking.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm gonna pick cooking is there's two main options to train it. You can either do 3-tick cooking or 4-tick AFKing. So 3-tick cooking is when you like click on the range every single time you make a fish or cook a fish, and then you just keep doing that till your inventory is empty. Or you can AFK and it takes 33% longer. So
You
it's
get
kind of a really
rewarded,
good balance
yeah.
between how much effort you put in and how much XP you get, but it at the same time doesn't feel like you have to put the extra effort in. Like I think Archaeology is another one where they did it really well, where like if you don't follow the time sprite, you're still fine, but it really gives you a good benefit to your artifact gain if you are following the time sprite. So I really like those types of mechanics because it allows you to play the style that you want to play.
Yeah, I've done most of my archaeology training just not following it because I just wanted to get more materials and I wasn't like in a rush for it, I guess. So I wasn't in a rush to get all the artifacts and buy the materials. It was kind of, well, it's cheaper doing it this way. I don't have to buy as much stuff at the end of it
Yeah.
and do it there. And then what's the least favorite skill?
I want to say farming just because it's a daily.
Yeah,
And like,
even though now it's like 3 different parts of a daily with the different
yeah,
player-owned farms and stuff, but
it's just a pain to train and it doesn't feel like you're actually training it.
yeah, you just get the XP out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
my like I said, I got my farming as my first 99. I planted one tree. That was
Yeah.
it. It's just a bit cheap, really. That was before the
Yeah.
nerfs, but I don't think they've made much difference with the two. Now that it's like just split across two rather than the one. So
Yeah. And on my alt, actually, I didn't plant a single thing. It took a month of checking the farm like once a day. And I was
yeah.
like, yay, but nay.
So obviously you've got your like minimal maxing. How did that all come around? The idea for it, and what are your
So
favorite parts to do with it?
So basically, the whole reason why I even started making videos is because when I was doing that series, I was like, if I post a screenshot of me maxing in like 250 hours to Reddit, everyone's just going to be like, you bought keys or you blah, blah, blah. So I was like, you know what? If I record it, it doesn't matter if anyone watches it. At least I have the proof and I can be like, here, I did it. You can see every level up. And then I always used to follow like Joffrey and Jonathan, which are two people who I believe they both have 5.6 now. And they always used to max accounts in the quickest amount of time possible.
Yeah.
Like even back in like 2014, 15, they'd do like 20, 25 days. And then I always thought like I'd love to see a series of people doing that because like no one's ever made a series on it. They've just,
Done it in the
screenshotted
background.
their
Yeah.
final. And in retrospect, I understand why no one's made a series on it now, because it's incredibly tough to pace. Because you're basically logging in once a day, doing your dailies and logging out,
Yeah.
and then you're logging in longer for DXP. And it's like no one wants to watch 10 minutes of you doing the same daily over and over again. So you have to like make it interesting while also showing enough. So it was such a tough thing. And as you can see now, like the episodes I'm making one every 2 months because that's just when I get enough to make a substantial episode because I'm playing it 10 hours over those 2 months.
Yeah, there's no point in doing one a week because it would be 2 minutes long. Like,
Yeah, just... like, here's the dailies I did.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that is the most efficient way to do it, but it's also quite unique. What end time are you aiming for?
So I'm at I think I'm at 10 days, 12 hours right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically, what I have left is 13 archaeology levels. And that's all just daily research. So it's like 60 or 70 days. 5 mining levels, which is war bands. So that's, again, I have to do that like 20 or so times. And then 2 woodcutting levels, which is just a couple days of divine use. So I think sub 11 days is probably possible.
And what is the fastest recorded time? Because I've never looked into it. I don't know. But it sounds that you might have.
So a friend has a friend did it in 42 hours, but he also did MTX.
Well, yeah, that comes with a bit of a caveat.
So I don't know of anyone that has actually like attempted it without Treasure Hunter.
Yeah.
In the like even post invention, I don't know of a time, but I think mine's definitely very beatable. Like there's a lot of things I did very wrong. So I think you could get it playing legitimately, like without Treasure Hunter or microtransactions. You could get sub 10 days.
It's quick.
Yeah. But at the same time, like that's still 240 hours.
It is, and it probably is like at least a year, if not a couple, I guess, of logging in, right?
Well, with 4 DXPs, it's now easy. Like I was only planning on 2 48-hour DXPs. Oh no, it was 3 36-hour DXPs. So it was like 108 hours of DXP, and I was actually going to have to do a lot of skills off of DXP. Like I did Slayer without DXP because I was like, oh, I need to get Slayer before I get summoning. So that way I get the charms. And I can't wait for DXP because then I'll have 2 DXPs before I even have summoning. So I have to do Slayer before DXP. But if I had known there was going to be 4, I would have not done that and probably saved like 10 to 12 hours right there.
Yeah, I wonder what the fastest time to max on an Ironman is as well.
So Jonathan, who I mentioned earlier, I've seen him. He did it in 50 days played. So like 1,200 hours, which is, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's
crazy. Yeah,
that's like 250k experience an hour, the whole way without anything. So
it's a mental standard to keep up with yourself, I guess, doing that.
Yeah, and it's like, the one thing I didn't like about it is I felt so much pressure when I was logged in. Like if I remember I was doing player-owned farms and I wasn't ready and I like had to AFK, figure out things and like buy all these things, and it took me 15 minutes to like actually do what should have taken me a minute. And I was just like, I felt so stressed out there, and I was like
the whole time you're logged in is just the timer is going and
yeah, and it's just mentally it's like I need to be on point. Like I can't AFK, so I'm happy it's pretty much done.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the like new double XP format? Let's kind of ignore the fact there's so many because that's just the strategy they're going for. But the actual format itself.
The format's perfect. I think it's the right way to do it. Like especially because DXP is the most impactful for the people who don't play a lot. If you're a lower level player who plays like an hour a game or an hour a day, you're probably not going to see yourself get to high level very quickly. But with DXP, you can make those sort of jumps that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. So I like the fact that it's split up over that 10-day period. I think it's great for the health. Like I used to take Fridays off work on DXP, or I take either the Friday or the Monday off, and I wouldn't feel the pressure to do that. So I think it's good for everybody.
Yeah, and the pause button as well. Obviously, it was added to this latest one.
Yeah, I would have liked it to have been 2 hours
rather
for
than
the
just the
pause
one.
button, just because it makes it a little harder to abuse.
Yeah, especially when it's spread out over 10 days. There's a lot of opportunities for it. But obviously,
Yeah.
my crew was doing his double XP only account. I didn't get a chance to catch like what he ended up getting to, but I know.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
He would make a lot of gains on it.
Yeah. And I honestly don't mind the like 4 times a year. I don't think it's necessarily terrible. I think it's just the fact that with 48 hours, so few people are using it, that when you do 48 hours 4 times, it feels like you have DXP too often. But maybe if it was like 24 hours 4 times, it would feel a lot more balanced.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, let's head back to one of the normally the early questions, and that's what's your favorite quest?
Actually, so I've been doing a lot of questing on like the new Ultimate Ironman, and I just before this finished Violet is Blue, and I'm like, that's a top tier quest.
It's so good, isn't it? It's just so fun.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's kind of like it's the quests I remember as a kid versus like it's not as epic, but like it's fun, which is kind of what quests are supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, have you? I assume over the years you've replayed most quests at least a couple of times.
Not all, but most.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff like One Small Favor, Dragon Slayer, I guess the iconic ones. Because
I've really only ever had 3 accounts because I didn't ever like really build up an ult ever before this minimal maxing and now the Ultimate Ironman. I did have an Ironman for a little bit early on, but yeah, I haven't done a lot of the high level quests multiple times. But the low stuff like One Small Favor and that, yeah, definitely.
The stuff that the small little stories around Gillinor, and I know some people prefer that than like the huge grand world changing sort of story. What are your kind of thoughts on it?
I like a little bit of both, but I think it's kind of like with Bossing versus Slayer. Like I'd like one big overarching quest over the year per year. Like this year was Desperate Measures, and then like a bunch of small little like kind of the stories of Glenor. I can't pronounce the world, but
yeah, just the people around in the little villages and
yeah, I feel like that's part of what's maybe missing in modern RuneScape is it doesn't have the same flavor that like Lumbridge, Varrock, and Falador have.
That little charm that you've got. Just the small details. Then favorite NPC or character?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm just going purely off name, but like the all the punny knights in Falador, like Servais and what is the other one?
Oh, there's so many of them. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
Sir Atcha. And every time I like go by there or like replay like the quests from a low level, I'll get a new one that I like never got before. It's like, oh my god, how is I that dumb?
It's like the cat in the Menaphos VIP area is called a new cat. Oh. Hello. What's happened here? Did my internet just... Wait, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
You cut out for a second.
I think might have had a little blip. It's been very windy here, so fingers crossed we don't have a power outage. But what was I saying? Where was I?
You were talking about the cat.
So there's a new cat, and its examine is son of an old cat. It's awful. It's awful. It's that kind of humor that just makes RuneScape RuneScape.
But it's so bad it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I suppose we should get to a favorite boss.
Oh, it's tough to pick one.
Favorite group and favorite solo, I suppose. We'll go with that.
Okay.
Makes it a bit
Well,
easier
that still
for
makes
you.
it tough. So solo is definitely Telos. Like that was the one boss that really maybe made me good. Because I was always not the best with abilities or like defensives, and then I just grinded away at it and eventually got warden title. I was so happy. And then eventually pushed to 1,000. Haven't gone much higher, but that was the one boss where I was like, I'm the best among the people I know, and that gave me like the confidence to do other bosses. And then group boss is either Solak or Virago. Virago's just survived the test of time.
Yeah.
A little bit has to do with like the fact that it was balanced around 5 people initially, and now we're down to 2 or 3. But it just gives the 6 weeks, the hard mode as an option for challenges, the fact that you can go duo or trio and like get different things out of it. It just AI Virago. It's
just the
it's
pure
got a little bit of
variety
everything.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I wish they would look at is phase 2 and phase 4. The like time lock of the phase, kind of what they did with the Raxor, where it's a little bit shorter.
Just if there's some way to, once you reach a certain something, like you do a certain amount of extra damage or something, and it just takes chunk off. I know, like there were some suggestions where like Rax P1 as well, potentially once you get down to 5k HP, if you deal like an extra 25k damage or something, it takes another chunk off the web percentage and that kind of thing, just to balance.
Yeah, that would be great. Just something where it's like you feel like your damage is helping. Like most of the time, I'm base tanking at Virago. Like that's generally my perm role. And phase 2 and phase 4, I pretty much AFK except for certain parts of it. Like I'll just turn on Revolution and then I'll freedom for the bleeds. And that's basically
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how like bosses and groups and stuff, they're always just shrinking down the numbers of like people that do them. Like obviously Nex, when she was released, was definitely not a solo boss.
No,
but
Wooks did solo it like really early on, but that's Wooks. So.
Yeah. But like now, anyone that puts like a decent amount of time into learning it, like can do it. I'd say as long as you got the right stats. There's really not that many deadly moments apart from the prison.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know, it's another one of those bosses that teaches you things.
Yes. Yeah, like you almost are forced to use manual in a way at Nex because you're moving so much that like getting your spells actually fired off while running doesn't happen if you keep clicking, surprisingly enough. So you have to press your keybinds.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when I made the switch to full manual for bossing, was at Nex, for that very reason.
Yeah, I'm kind of still like sort of transitioning in that I always have Revolution on, but I like to try and press the keys and make sure I'm there. Obviously, thresholds are all manual, but I just have the basics going because it's just easier.
Yeah, I don't know, it's another thing where as long as you're activating the abilities, it doesn't matter where you have Revo or full manual on. Like this, back in the day, some of the best Telosers would have Revolution on and they'd go to like 2000% with it. And it's not the fact that Revolution is there, it's that sometimes people who have Revolution on don't necessarily understand what the abilities are.
Yeah.
And I mean, so once you get
the thing is, there's nothing in the game that really introduces them to you. They are all just chucked at you. So that is a big issue, I think.
Yeah, and it's tough to like. Yeah, they've tried and they've failed every single time in like tutorializing the advanced combat system.
Yeah, like I don't know if they'd be able to add something to War's Retreat. Something in there like you have to complete a certain series of challenges that introduce different spells to you or abilities to you, and then through doing that you get an unlock at war. Like instead of boss
Yeah,
kills, it costs like completing these tutorials, something like that instead.
yeah, that would be good. That's something where it's like it gives people a reason to learn, because a
There's a
lot of
reward,
people
yeah.
don't bother with learning. They're like, yeah, I'm just going to put on the Revel bar and that'll be good for 99% of the things that I do. I don't need to put in the effort to learn. So if they have an incentive, like, for example, getting the adrenaline crystal, let's just use that as that requires you to do the training, then they now have a reason to do that and they'll go into it and they'll probably learn something.
What do you think they're going to add to Wars Retreat? Are they going to add the achievement garden they were talking about? Because obviously there is a huge space on that left-hand side that is kind of just blank and waiting to be filled. What are your thoughts? Is it going to be the achievement garden, or you reckon something else?
I don't know what they'll use. Like, they could have like that sort of like showing off your pets thing, the achievement garden. But again, that's going to be like localized. Like, it's not like you're showing
Yeah,
off to other people. What I would want would be maybe like a boss high scores um, section where you could have like most kill count at each boss, like up to a certain point. Maybe it updates every time like the game resets. So it's not like a floating list that
yeah,
like bogs down the servers. You could have like most boss kills, fastest boss kills, most boss kills that week, stuff like that, where you just have all these notice boards, maybe like put something on display for certain things to show off there. So that way the achievement portion of it is um, not localized and it's to
yeah,
everyone.
yeah. And I mean, you could just have a statue of the boss, and then like you're saying like a plaque or something on the front of it that has all those
Yeah.
details of like fastest kill of the week, highest current kills, highest kills in the last week, that sort of thing. That'd
Yeah.
be
Something,
yeah.
something like that.
That because that would give a lot of people something to aim for, and especially with kill counts obviously now being recorded, they've got the data, so
Yeah. It's just about
use it.
using that
Yeah.
data.
Yeah. Now, what would you change about RS3 if you had the chance to become CEO of Jagex and make one decision to change something? What would be your impact?
So it would be a new game mode, and I'd call it Steelman mode.
Okay, yeah.
And it's essentially a regular account, but there's no microtransactions or anything. No daily keys, no distractions and diversions to gain XP, just sort of like pure old RuneScape, but in the RS3 vacuum.
Okay, yeah, that's nice because it does deal with a lot of the issues of daily scape that a lot of people fall into of spending half an hour to an hour just running stuff, and like I said, D&Ds. So I'm rubbish at doing my D&Ds. I forget about Herbie Werby every other week, and it's like, oh, whoops.
Yeah. I hate them. It's like I'll do them when I'm actively doing that skill. Like, what, for example, when I was going for 200 mil divination and I was doing Hall of Memories, I would do caches twice a day while I was there. But when I was woodcutting and still needed to train divination, I wouldn't leave woodcutting to go do cache because always felt like that was such a chore to
Yeah,
like.
it's not. You should play games to have fun, and at that
Yeah,
point, it's not fun.
yeah,
Which, yeah, that's a good idea. I like it. Steel Man mode. I wonder
yeah.
why there's no Bronze Man mode either. They went straight to
Um,
Iron, skipped it.
well, I think it was Bodhi that made it famous in terms of like the naming of it. Like, it came from his one man army thing.
Hmm.
That was kind of what spawned the whole idea for Jagex. So I think if someone referenced that in his videos, he called it an Ironman or something,
Yeah.
and they kind of took it from there.
So, what are your thoughts on stuff like Twisted Leagues for old school? I don't know
I
if you've ever really touched old school at all, or?
I've dabbled, but never like played it. I would say I think an RS3 league would be really fun. And that's a way to do esports in RS3 is kind of with a league. Like they tried with that race to ready.
Yeah. Oh, hello. I think I disappeared for a second again. Oh, am I still gone? Oh, what's going on here? Oh dear, this doesn't look good.
No,
oh, hello.
No, I'm back.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, no, I DC'd.
All right, all good.
Yeah. So what were we talking about?
Race to Ready and how.
Oh yeah, it kind of flopped a little bit.
Well, the problem is, like, it's quite obvious why it flopped. It was announced like 2 days before, and it was a time-gated thing. If less, it was, you know, like you're saying, Steelman, no D&Ds. There was no way it was ever gonna work for people, really. And even then, it was just too long of a speed run, really.
Yeah, because it was it was like 20 hours was the winning time. 20 hours in the span of, what was it, like 7 days or something?
So it ended up being a week. It was initially forecast to be 5 days, or that they'd given them, which is just was never going to work, especially with like 1 day's notice of it's going to start tomorrow.
Yeah, like even if I probably wanted to do it, I probably couldn't have done it because I would have been like, well, I don't have 25 hours to put in.
Yeah,
I'm 5 days.
Like, I'm working. If I'd known like a couple of weeks in advance of it, maybe I could have worked around it. But
yeah,
it's tricky though because you don't want to announce something too early because then everyone forgets about it and then just loses the hype.
Yeah, it's tough to organize those things, and it's hard. It's really hard. Like even with Protox's like T% thing, like it's just hard to make competitions.
Oh,
in a game like RuneScape.
That T speedrun got so much traction and such a meta behind it. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
He should have waited until now when the beach isn't there. Then it would have been a whole lot less controversial.
I was like Team D&D. Like I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like using the mechanics of the game.
So yeah, because it wasn't included in the rules initially, I also think maybe it should have been included. But I mean, it was the same guy I think that got the fastest time doing D&D and without, so it didn't make a huge difference in the end. And he put a lot of hours in. Like I kept seeing him posting new fastest times on Protox's Discord. It's like, wow, you are really wanting this prize. But he got it. He did a good job. So yeah, you got to be very careful when it comes to speedruns and stuff. But yeah, no, not Twisted League, whatever it'll end up being called, because obviously they've announced the second one for old school.
Yeah, and I think the second one's going to be even better.
Yeah, they've learned from any mistakes they made on the first one, and I mean, it was pretty universally liked. I think, at least initially.
Yeah, I think what they did wrong maybe was it was too long. So by the end of it, it was really only like the YouTubers who were making content on it or the streamers who were doing it, and like I felt like no one else was actually still doing it, and it was too much skilling focused. I
mean, at least it was the sped up sort of skilling focus, but was that not partly, I think, down to the region that was chosen? Again, I've not really touched old school, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's just the area, basically. The only like real PVM challenge they had was raids. It's like if we had desert locked area, and then like the only thing you could work towards would be like Godward's Dungeon 2. And it's like you don't have that in between to like get you there.
I mean, you got at least in our desert, you got Calfight King and Queen as well.
Yeah,
I mean, Queen is not really useful, but
get that dragon 2-hander.
Yeah. Oh, that's I'm not looking forward to when I eventually grind it out for final boss. That's not going to be a pleasant time.
It's actually not that bad. Like I recently did like 1K kills for like the pet.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you just show up with like hybrid armor, not even hybrid armor. I just
Does War
wore
Priest work? Like,
I think I just wore masterwork. And then I had like a mage and ranger weapon, and then I just put a just swapped over whenever it killed itself, like or when the phase changed. And then I also had a Ripper Demon summon, so if I AFK'd too hard, the Ripper Demon would just kill it.
Just did the job for you.
So there was a couple times where it did that, but it was like 50 kills an hour, like pretty much fully AFK. Okay. So it's only like 2 hours.
That's nice and speedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you kind of mentioned earlier like how you got into doing content creation and stuff. It feels like you've been doing a lot recently. Is there like any reason why you kind of ramped it up?
So when quarantine started back in March, I started working from home, and a lot of my job is being on call.
Okay. Yeah.
So like sometimes I'm like just sitting there waiting for an email, and if there isn't something to do, I can like pop 15 minutes into working on a video, making a thumbnail, something like that. So I basically took that time and then my commute time and turned it into video making time. And I was just like, this is the only opportunity I'll ever have to put this much time into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I doubt I'll quit my job. So. So I was like, this is the only time I'll do it as hard as I can until I have to go back to the office. And then when I get to that point, I'll decide what I need to do. Yeah. But so yeah, I think I made my first guide on like March 15th or something, which was right when the world was starting to burn.
Starting to slow down, and yeah.
The real boon for me was the archaeology guide.
Yeah.
Because I had like 500, I think I had 500 subs at the time, something like that. And I finished 200 mil, but like my crew hadn't made a video yet. I think they were all those like top level peoples were burnt out. But because I like kind of took it easy at the end, I just like went right into making the video.
Yeah.
And then like 2 days later, put up the first 120 archaeology guide, and it's probably the best video I've made, like impact wise on the channel. So
yeah, because well, I think my crew ended up splitting his into like 3 videos. Is it? I'm not even sure. I think he took his time and wanted to do it like very in depth and like really spend like an hour or something.
He did his as like a walkthrough rather than a guide. So he like went on his Ironman. He basically did a series on his Ironman getting to 120.
Yeah.
So that way you could see how it went out instead of it being just like go here for this level, go here for that level. And I think what also really helped was I was 200 mil. So it's like, oh, we can trust this person.
Yeah, he's got the experience. And, yeah.
Versus a lot of the other people that had been making guides at that point didn't have 99. They were just kind of like using the skill guide. Not that like it means they didn't know the information and couldn't make a good video. It just gave me a little bit of a sort of a cred when you see a 500 subscriber video beside like a 10,000 subscriber video. Like you're naturally going to pick the 10,000 subscriber video because you're like, this person's probably better at making videos.
Yeah, but it gives you something to catch their attention. Did you include like your position on the high score in like the first intro just to cement that? Or?
No, I did kind of flex on like I recently finished my 200 mil archaeology grind and wanted to get. So like I said that like very early on, so people knew. And I had the cape on, like showing the back right on like the opening clip. So it's like I have it.
So what video would you say you're the most proud of? Because obviously you said that had the biggest impact on the channel. Is it your favorite though, or
it's not my favorite? The invention starting guide was really good. There's one video I'm scrolling through my like uploaded videos because I know which one it is. But oh yeah, that's what it is. It's the KK guide.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time on that, and not only that, like I felt like there wasn't a KK guide out there that was very in depth. So I wanted to do something where it like talked more about a bit more about the advanced strategies and not just how to skip a green. Stuff like ability rotations and like how to skip digs and what I do when it's melee phase at the start or range phase at the start. So I'm really proud of that video. I think that's the video that I think worked out the best.
I'm pretty sure I seem to remember including that in one of the weekly showcases because that was like just about a month or so ago, right?
Yeah, it was like mid-July. I think you did.
Yeah. Sweet. I haven't done KK myself yet. I think I've done a couple of like masked ones, but outside of that, I haven't actually gone there to try and learn yet. And I mean, to be honest, right now there's probably no better time with those rumbling comps.
Yeah, and it's a boss that's extremely frustrating to learn, but once you've learned it, I think it's a lot of fun.
Apart from when he just randomly heals, right?
Yeah, but I had a sub 1 minute solo, which was like pretty good. I think the world record's like 38 seconds or something. That got ruined by the green shield. It was like about to get the final blow, like had 10k HP left, like activated the ability. I was like about to walk away, be like really happy, and green shield, and then healed like 20k and it ended up being a bad time.
Yeah, because it just completely throws you off of your rhythm at that point. It's like, all right, it's done. I can't be bothered anymore. Even if it could have been a PB.
Yep.
So, what would you say your favourite thing about YouTube is? And also, what's the biggest challenge for it?
So I think the favorite part is that the community is incredibly positive. Like there's a lot of parts of the RuneScape community that can be very negative. And I find that on YouTube, like the comments, the other YouTubers, just the whole community behind it is very positive. So that's what I would say is the best part.
I'd say I never really see like hate in video comments really on RS3 YouTubers when I check the comments. Like I'm not afraid to go and actually look at the comments sections. Whereas with other games and other people, it's dumpster fire. It's
There's a little bit of like I get the odd like, oh, why are you playing this shit game? Instead of like basically pro old school anti RS3 people that like just come there to comment, and I'm like, okay. But that's about it.
And again, I feel like they are a very small part of the old school community. It's, you know, whenever I like check out other people's stuff, like you get, you know, it's the vocal minority of people that just, you know, go along with the crowd if someone else says it. But generally, I think they're not that angry about it anymore.
No, they've gotten over it, I think. I think they're happy with their game now, and they're good. I think the RS3 relations are at an all-time high.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of months, there's so many old school people coming back and like giving it a go. A friend. That was random.
Yeah, never thought I'd see him log in again.
So strange. And he said he's gonna possibly do some solo next, which is
crazy.
Very weird. Yeah. And then the biggest challenge,
I think finishing videos. Which is like something so weird to say, but like I get into a video and I'm so motivated and I have like this really good idea. And it's like, oh, I'm really happy with this video. And then I get like 10 minutes into the video, like editing wise.
Yep.
So like probably like an hour or so. And then I'm just like, you know what? Just like render. So I'm like, I need to like, I've started doing it in 2 sessions now, where it's like I'll edit it and then I'll come back and I'll edit it again because it's
Yes.
hard to like have the motivation throughout and like make something that you're proud of at the end.
I tend to do like one big pass through of stuff, get it roughly in place, sleep on it, come back the next day and like, okay, yeah, that needs tightening up all over the place and whatever. Especially with stuff like obviously the researcher videos, they're pretty they take a while to edit. They're like sort of 10-15 hours to get everything together, so it's
Yeah,
a
and
lot of just coming back to bits.
you have so much freedom with that, with how you edit it as well. Like with the RuneScape series, you kind of already have your clips, and you can't really go back and get. Of course, you
Yes,
can put
yeah.
like B-roll stuff in, but like for your actual main clips, you can't really go back and get 48 woodcutting again. So you have
No,
to kind
no.
of.
There are certain parts of the screen you can't quite remake.
Yeah.
But obviously, I know you've like you know of Laser Shark. Like he does a good job of doing that cinematic touch of stuff, and
Yeah, I'll never have that. Like I've kind of like wanted to do that, but then I sat down and tried to make something like that, and I'm like, that's not my niche. It's gonna look kind of fake. It's like I'm not gonna do it justice. So I like scrapped the whole video. I'm
it
like,
definitely takes a good mindset to get it and experience as well. Like I don't know how you found the whole process of learning how to edit and stuff like that.
yeah, it was a little tough. Don't watch my first video.
What what software were you using, and then like obviously what have you moved on to if you changed?
Just Vegas for now. I do want to change because it crashes a lot. Um, but I haven't like sat down and be like look at the pros and cons of every single editing software
Yeah,
and figure out what is the best. But
I mean Vegas is pretty decent to be honest. It does most things that people need, but like I said, it's just the stability of it. It's the issue.
yeah, there was some stuff with like rendering where it would like stop on a frame and it would not render that frame no matter what I tried. So then I am like, okay, now I have to like remake this whole portion of the video.
See, I had that with Premiere, and all I needed to do was change it from GPU like rendering to just CPU rendering, and that fixed it. So I don't know if that's.
I've done that and it works sometimes.
No idea why it's the case with these rendering softwares. I don't understand how they work. Just that they
Yeah.
do.
And I also have a very stupid way of actually making the videos. So I have to render it twice to actually render it. Because
Okay.
basically what I do is so my audio that actually comes out of the mic is not the best, not the audio I want, but I have like 200 clips that I want to make the video
Yep.
out of. And I'm like, well, I don't want to load all 200 of them into Audacity, do the post processing, and then save the audio clips, and then have to
I know where this is
finagle all
going.
that
Okay, yeah.
together. So what I do is I render the whole video, then pop that into Audacity,
And
and
then
then
add
do
it
the post.
after.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
do all like the noise reduction, the compressors, the
Mhm.
like bass and treble.
Yeah, Premiere's got a lot of that stuff built in, so you wouldn't necessarily have to do it externally as well.
Okay, so that might be a reason to go to Premiere
Yeah,
then.
you can do it like based on like the different audio tracks. So if you've got like 5 tracks, you can be like track 1 can have these effects, track 2 can have different ones, and that stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah, there's so many details to look into when you come to picking an editing software, and especially if you haven't done a lot of it. Choosing the right one is very tricky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm starting to add more edits into my videos for the. I'm gonna try to do that a lot with the Ultimate Ironman, where it's like a lot higher production value rather than just me throwing all the clips in at once. So that's the goal for that.
And it is something that RS3 is very good for, getting the free cam shots especially. like just the freedom of movement around the game is crazy. Seeing like all these different angles that you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah, like your Lumbridge video today.
Yeah,
I was disappointed when like you had the roof shot going down,
mm-hmm.
that it didn't like transition through the roof.
So at one point I did, but because of the timing on it, if I'd have moved it later, it would have been like right zoomed on the church already, so I couldn't quite get it to fit like that.
Okay.
That was the initial idea. Yeah.
I could see that was the idea.
But not quite got the timing on it. So anyway, I feel like I've come to the end. We've been going for just over an hour and it's been pretty non-stop questions. Yeah. So I think we will call it there. Thank you for coming in, my man. Hope you've had fun and enjoyed it. And yeah, is there anyone that you'd like to shout out?
I guess just all my clanmates. They know who they are, so I won't list all of them, but like PVM with them for Boss Man, and like they're the reason I still play this game, because this game's boring when you're by yourself. So thanks to all of them. Obviously, thanks to you for having me on. And just, everyone who enjoys the game and makes this game great.
And has kept it going nearly 20 years.
Nearly 20 years.
It's gotta be... I wonder what they'll do for the 20th anniversary.
Yeah. Hopefully something good.
What did they do for the 10th? I know we said like we'd like wrap it up, but was that the first RuneFest?
Maybe. I wasn't playing then, because that was when I was 10 years would have been when I was end of high school, started university. So no, I wasn't playing then.
Okay, let's have a there was a party that was done, player hosted parties mostly. It's got a wiki page, but
there was a cake.
10th anniversary chest. Yeah, cake and candles. Well, we'll see. I'm sure they've got some plans. I'm sure they've got things in the work. But anyway, thank you once again for coming on. And
no problem.
I hope everyone that's watched has had a fun time. Until next time, stay safe.